everyone, Cloud VP here, and welcome back to Autumn's Journey. Yeah. So if you remember last time, we were going to do our first escort mission, as well as take the two naughty dragon boys over to their next big town destination so they could figure out more about their own journey and things. So yeah, let's just get into it, I guess. There's nothing really more for me to say. Yeah. Hi, everyone. Ah, man, I feel like I was slacking. No, I'm just really busy stuff. Anyway, so map, rations, yep, I think that's everything. Satisfied with my packing, I hurried down the stairs just as Mom was rereading the letter of recommendation she'd finished. Ah, Ara, all prepared? I sure am. How's the letter? I just showed it to the Argent Valere Guild, right? Go away, notice. I don't need to see that. The Argent Valere, whatever, guild was one of the most prestigious orders in Istera. It consisted of knights who served the Sun and Moon Council, but also did non-military work. Light. Oliver was the central hub for all of their activity. Mom had been part of the guild all her life, so her name was well known among the younger generation of knights. Right. As long as a former knight recommends you, it shouldn't be too hard to earn the rank. Hopefully they didn't change any of the requirements. Excited, I snatched up the letter and quickly skimmed the beginning. I, Lady Andrienne Bayard, former captain of the guard, Polier of the 3rd Cavalry Line of... Mom, your titles and credentials are longer than the actual recommendation. But I guess it helps since I've been trained under you. I returned the letter so she could officially seal it, then promptly tucked it into my bag, making sure it wouldn't get crinkled, because nobody likes crinkled letters. Especially recommendation letters for knights! Anyway, the merchant venue's carriage should be ready. They already know the escort arrangements, and your father's making sure their boys don't get into too much trouble. Which, for dragons, I'm probably sure they're getting into lots and lots of trouble. I'm sure it'll be fine, said Aurelie. Anyway, let's get going. You're gonna see your daughter off on her grand adventure after all. I eagerly rushed out the door, not wanting to make the others wait any longer. Wait, Aura! I halted and pivoted, noting the cautious tone in her voice. Yes? She sighed and folded her arms. Well, originally I was going to cancel this whole arrangement. Eh? Why? The merchant was rather vague about the contents he was carrying. I usually like to confirm everything with my own eyes, since it's not just for their safety, but also mine and that of the other escorts. I highly doubt the package will contain monsters or anything sinister. Are you sure you're not overreacting? I mean, this is your daughter getting involved. Oh, I just got an accent for some reason. Ooh la la. Anyway, she paused and mulled over my suggestion carefully. True, it may just be my overprotectiveness. This is the first time my daughter will go off on her own, after all. She nodded, mostly to herself, and I accepted her agreement. Right. Thanks for organizing everything. Now come on. Let's go on this adventure. As expected, Dad, Kerr, and Mari were at the edge of Barry, with the carriage stationary on the main road. Whoop! I clicked the wrong thing, sorry. My hand slid on the little rotaty thing on my mouse. Kerr was pacing while Mari was chatting happily with my dad. The coachman waved to acknowledge us, and I approached the open window of the vehicle. A middle-aged man sat amongst the silks and pillows, which suggested I was protecting a wealthy merchant. Mr. Ormaid, was it? I'm Aurelie, and my companions and I will be escorting you to Oliver. I assure you we're talented and will get you there unharmed. The others are well-versed in magic. I was pretty confident about that assumption, at least. He nodded, and I was unsure if he was nervous or just reserved. Thank you. Shall we set off straight away? Ah, of course. It's no problem. I glanced down and saw an ornate box. It was long and narrow, and I tried to fathom what was so important that they needed to hire protection. Maybe it was a sword? I wanted to ask about the contents, but decided against it. My priority was getting to Oliver, and the quicker, the better. Oh god, I didn't see that last line. Okay, sorry. I made a mental apology to my mother, rationalizing she was just worrying over nothing. There, now we can continue with the lines. Sorry, guys. Sorry. My bad. Okay. Alright, it seems everything is ready. We're moving out. I energetically motioned to the others, then exchanged hugs with my parents. I promise I won't be gone for too long. I'll definitely be back in time for the harvest. As we departed, my mom cupped her hands around her mouth. And remember, be sure to check every barrel, crate, and chest in town. The residents don't mind if you find something useful. In essence, it's just like an RPG. It's like, I'm gonna check everything in town. Anything I find is mine. Mom, I'm pretty sure that's stealing. Speaking of which, teach your companions the concept of pay. We don't want them accidentally pilfering apples or the like. Oh gosh, that's right. I didn't even think about that. Mari glanced at me curiously as we continued walking. Pay? Don't take stuff, especially if it seems to belong to other people. But your mom just said, don't mind what she said. And Kerr, you're too far ahead. Not a professional start. Thanks, Kerr. The merchant probably heard that they didn't understand pay either. Thank you, family. We hadn't even left the village, and already my mind was swarming with too many worrisome thoughts about the journey. No, just focus on the mission. It'll run smoothly, and everything will be fine once we reach Oliver. I reached into my bag and touched the letter for comfort, and to make sure it was still there. Feeling my confidence returning, I straightened my back and boldly gazed beyond the road. Finally, my dreams will come to fruition. Go. Stupid Norton. Always wants to tell me stuff, and I'm like, I'm busy doing things. Thank you. Anyway. The journey so far had gone off without a hitch. We were passing through a rockier area with the forest pressing against us on both sides of the road. There was still much greenery, but some leaves were already showing the early signs of autumn with yellowed leaves. Mari and I were ahead of the two-horse carriage, while Kerr was content with shadowing the vehicle. Since history and politics were never my forte, my brain strained to answer Mari's endless questions, but I would immediately perk up if they had anything to do with knights. Unfortunately, this wasn't one of those times. So, this council, each town has a representative, and they come together in Oliver to help govern? Pretty much. They do things like build bridges, schools, or improve the agriculture. We have a similar system between the wise dragons. They use their knowledge of the past to help shape our future. Hey, Mari, have you been picking up activity for the past hour or so? Mari, and yes, I have, but I wasn't sure if it should be brought up at all. I paused and touched my hilt, but let my hand drop, lest it would reveal I suspected anything. Activity? Are we being followed? The two exchanged glances, with Mari appearing more apologetic than Kerr. I'm sorry, I should have said something. I wish I had your hearing abilities, but still, I feel so inattentive. I surveyed the forest, noting any jutting cliffsides if we were to be ambushed. How many? I don't know, 5 or 6. Do you think these followers have a malicious agenda? I don't think the Heavenkind would be the hostile type. Well, I wish I could say everything was peaceful, but disputes and fights still arise. There's always exceptions. Dragonkind are genuinely harmonious, but clashes still occur. Especially when dominant young males are expanding their territories, and they happen to overlap. It can get quite intense and scary. Not speaking from experience or anything. Of course not. I never assumed... Bah, weak. Oh, wait. He stared at Mari, then his eyes widened in recognition. We have met. Acorn. Kerr let out a boisterous laugh, clearly amused by the whole situation. Sorry about that, territorial instinct. That lake had a nice beach. I stepped between them before any more tension could arise. Can we save the border debate for another time? Right now, we have to focus on the people pursuing us. I wish you told me sooner, but at least now we can anticipate any attacks. Let's keep it from the coachman and our client. We'll feign ignorance in the meantime and hope nothing bad will come out of this. I'd rather avoid battle if possible. Realizing we had just been standing around, we quickly resumed our march, and I adjusted the bag strap over my shoulder. I tried to glance discreetly into the woods. As I adjusted. Kerr, Mari, what is your fighting experience? He could probably take the mountain dragon form. Ugh, this body. Mari shook his head resolutely. I'm not doing anything like that. Moreover, I am Urius. I wouldn't do well on land. I know some magic, so I can be good support. I nodded, then looked at Kerr expectantly. I'll be fine fighting directly. At least you can walk without any problems. And I have my sword, along with some focusing techniques. At least we were well balanced enough, and my focusing techniques would help me fight in optimal condition. Mari's ears perked up, and he shifted nervously while Kerr grit his teeth. They're moving swiftly. They're probably planning to launch an assault once we advance a little further. I think they're positioning themselves by the outcrop, when we get there. He trailed off, and I made a fist, biting my lip anxiously. All right. They think they have the element of surprise. Prepare yourselves. Sounds like there's more than 5 now. I could feel my stomach lurch as we neared the destination, and I already had my hand on my sword hilt. Calm down. Calm down. A knight wouldn't be afraid. I gulped, and then chided myself mentally, shaking those thoughts from my head. I reminded myself that I was not a coward. I mentally concentrated on a spell that helped refresh and restore some vigor to my body. It would increase my strength temporarily. Once the outcrop loomed over us, there was a moment of uneasy stillness before a swift wind swept through the trees. Yeah. I don't know. What? I don't know what I wanted to do with that. A muscle-bound man landed directly on top of the carriage, shaking it violently and causing the horses to rear up. The coachman tried to settle them down as the attacker leapt off the vehicle, unsheathing his sword. I dashed over and directed his attention to me before he could rip off the door. The weapons clashed and I clenched my teeth as I successfully pushed him away from the carriage. I could hear the scuffling of his feet as more men emerged from the forest, and my heart plummeted. We were outnumbered nearly 3 to 1. Not only that, all of the attackers seemed too organized to be a mere bandit group. My opponent's sword fighting was refined, and their outfits too proper. Not to mention that they had followed us for some time, according to Kerr and Mari. Take that! I dodged one of his slashes and knocked him out with the blunt side of my sword. I didn't want to resort to taking a life if I could help it. I saw Kerr lunge forward and perform an awkward curled slap to one of the guys' faces, like he was in a cat fight. It looked painful, but it was not an effective strategy. Claws. He's used to battling with claws. I tried to approach Kerr, but was stopped by another foe. I parried just in time, but I could feel an axe whistling past my arm. Kerr, punch them! Make a fist! What? What? Sorry. The axeman swung again. I ducked, then charged forward, bringing up my left hand. Like this! My fist contacted my opponent's cheek, causing him to stumble back. Pain shot through my arm, and it took all of my effort not to drop my sword and cradle my poor hand. Like that! Right. Kerr delivered a hearty punch. This time, it sent his opponent flying. He glanced at his fist in bafflement, and a smirk appeared on his lips. Not bad. I could get used to this. As Kerr jumped into the fray, I could hear Mari apologizing loudly. A burst of water streamed forth from his hands, toppling someone who tried to run up to him. 4 down, 4 to go. A few men that had gotten back up were now second-guessing themselves, while the more stubborn ones tried a round 2. As I was engaged in another sword fight, I stepped back and felt my shoulders bump into someone. I glanced up in the heat of battle and spotted Kerr, who looked down at me. That's a cute picture. The heat of battle? That reminded me. I assure you the spell won't wear off from my clothes. It's just that I don't want you to glance back during, I don't know, the heat of battle and catch you stark naked. Ah, of course you'd remember that. Look at her, Acorn. She's thinking about it now. Heh. Ha. Before we could stop ourselves, we burst out laughing, causing the challengers surrounding us to look perplexed, possibly even alarmed or scared. Why are you two laughing? Help me! Mari retreated to the other side of the carriage as he struggled to conjure a spell. Kerr, still chuckling, knocked another man out and darted around the carriage, while I was locked with the second-to-last foe standing. I riposted, but he blocked my sword. I retaliated with a swift kick to the stomach, and he stumbled back. His eyes darted over his fallen comrades as he slowly backed away. I pointed my sword at him, and he hastily disappeared into the forest, leaving his partners behind. Perfect timing, since I could feel my focus spell wear off. Coward. A high-pitched scream came from the carriage, and I turned to see that the door was open. One of the armed men was escaping with the box. No! Not while I'm around. He slammed he slammed the ground with his fist, causing the whole place to shake. I knelt down, covering my head as my sword clattered harmlessly into the soil. My knees felt like they liquefied, and I had to use one hand to support myself. I couldn't move, and each shock only reinforced my terror. Kerr, cease this at once. Did Mari notice I was scared? The man tripped from the jolts, and the box flew out of his grip. It hit a rocky terrain with a crash, causing the latch to open. I forced myself to stand up, but I was unnerved from the tremors. Every step felt wobbly. Kerr focused on the almost thief, who also disappeared into the woods. By the time I got to the fallen objects, Mari was already scooping the items back into their coffer. I saw a few feathers sticking out. Perplexed by the wares, I reached out for the box, but Mari slammed it shut, his face pale white. Mari? Phew, close it. It would have been unfortunate if it got damaged. Well, it was intact? Yes, nothing appears broken. He gave me a strained smile. Kerr chased off the remaining conscious opponents, and I carefully stepped around the supine ones? Whatever. A few groans were emitted, but they probably wouldn't be up for a while. Mari handed the box to me as if eager to get rid of it. I bet I know what's inside. Unfortunately, I don't want to know what's inside, but I'm pretty sure I know what's in there. It's probably like dragon feathers or something. Probably not a good thing to have. Stupid sun. The sun's setting and it's very bright through my window. Sorry, guys. You know, usual time I record anyway. Anyway, thanks. I'll return this to Mr. Ormaid. I hastily approached the vehicle and placed the box on the seat. The frightened merchant glanced up warily. We chased them off, whoever they were. He clutched the coffer, cradling it on his lap. Did you see what was inside? No, but I'm sure the contents are safe. I closed the door and promptly asked the coachman to resume driving. I sheathed my sword, then rubbed my throbbing left hand, regretting my rash display before. Then again, it wasn't like I had time to explain a punch, and Kerr caught on quickly. As we walked, I could feel the adrenaline rush leave me and fatigue creep up. I didn't think I'd do something like that so soon. I looked up to gauge the boys' expressions, to see how they were faring. Kerr was positively beaming, every strut screaming of his triumph. Mari had become oddly quiet, as he appeared lost in thought. I don't know. I want to know what was in the box, but I want to talk to Kerr, because I like Kerr. I'm going with Kerr. Talk to Kerr. I sidled up to Kerr. Surprisingly, he didn't flinch or increase the distance between us. Someone looks happy. I thought this journey would be boring, but it might not be so dull after all. Not that I want to prolong it more than necessary. My prime concern is still getting to the next altar. Right. But we made a pretty good team, if I do say so myself. You fight quite well in that form. You're not half bad yourself. Although your punch could use more work. I'll stick to my sword, thank you very much. I'll entrust the hand-to-hand combat to you. Speaking of which, is your hand okay? Oh, he noticed! Oh, how cute! I didn't think he noticed at all. Huh? I was still subconsciously rubbing it, and subsequently stopped to reassure him that I was unharmed. I'm good, I'm just not used to it. I smirked wryly. Thanks for caring. I wasn't... like you said, just leave the unarmed combat to me. It's starting to sound like we'll be traveling together even longer. Only if you continue to be helpful. I can still find someone else if I want to. Yeah, good luck with that, buddy. He grumbled and walked faster, but I did appreciate his concern. In a few days, we would arrive in Oliver. I adjusted my bag and thought about the letter, eager to reach the guild. Woo! First mission down! Yay! Oh, look, another chapter. Chapter 5. I want to be a real knight. I don't know. I was like looking off to the side. Where are we? You know, guys, I actually think this is a good place to end the episode because we did just get to the next town. And, well, that'll be a good place to start off for the next one. I don't want to just end halfway through the town. I'm trying to find good stopping points, so chapter breaks, it's probably a good thing, I think. And plus the sun is like bothering me again. Anyway, guys, I hope you all enjoyed this episode. I'm pretty excited. I'm very sure that the contents of that box had something to do with the not the Heavenkind, the dragons. I don't remember their right title, whatever. But we're gonna find out that later. If you have any idea what's in the chest, let me know below. Or if you think I'm right, just say you're right, yay! Because I'm pretty sure I like to think of myself as a smart cookie sometimes. Anyway, enough of that cookies. I hope you all enjoyed this episode, and I hope to see you all at the next one. So until then, bye everyone!